Let's turn to our final Russian fake for today. Ukraine's allies are allegedly confident that the Ukrainian army counteroffensive will fail. Pro-Kremlin media stated that NATO military experts have no doubt that the Ukrainian army will lose in the battles against the Russian occupiers. Let's see.
Ben Hodges, the former commander of NATO forces in Europe, believes that Western countries are actually aware of Ukraine's catastrophic situation at the front. Therefore, they have no doubt that sooner or later the Ukrainian armed forces will lose.
The Tsargrad media outlet distorted the American general's interview with Business Insider. In fact, Ben Hodges did not say a single word about the future failure of the Ukrainian army. On the contrary, he positively assessed the effectiveness of the Ukrainian armed forces on the battlefield, but warned against excessive expectations that the upcoming counteroffensive would end the war.
I would reject the talk that Ukraine's only got one shot, that if it doesn't achieve a knockout blow, when that's it, and everyone will say too bad and stop supporting them, Ben Hodges told. The idea that aid to Ukraine will disappear should this offensive underperform, he said, is a narrative put forth by politicians and players who don't want to see Ukraine win, or those who are increasingly eager to bring the war to a quick end.
With such fakes, Russian propaganda seeks to deny the combat capability of the Ukrainian army. Because having an advantage in the number of soldiers and equipment, the Russians cannot achieve superiority on the battlefield.
Well, first of all, I have to say that I like it. NATO military experts. Marco, where do they get these experts, and whom do these experts either reassure or convince in this way?
Yeah, they must be going to something like clown college to find some of these experts, because some of the things that they come up with have absolutely no relationship to reality. And it reminds me of a saying about Lavrov, or really it applies to any of the political leadership in the Kremlin. How can you tell if Lavrov is lying? The answer is his lips are moving. So when you see that any kind of information or stories coming out of Tsargrad about Ben Hodges suggesting that NATO has no more trust that Ukraine could successfully win the war and liberate its occupied territories, you know that he said precisely the opposite. Ben Hodges has been saying for at least 8 to 10 months that Ukraine is going to liberate Crimea. And this is one of those fakes that tells you where they are most concerned, what territories they're most concerned about. Given that today, May 25, we had the 12th meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, in which Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, announced that so far to date, over $65 billion in military assistance has been committed to Ukraine's defense and eventual liberation of the occupied territories. So if that isn't a support, and if that isn't a trust that Ukraine can actually, and Ukraine will, of course, can actually liberate its occupied territories, Russians really have to rethink their entire disinformation ecosystem, and maybe they should focus on clown college.
And we are grateful to all our allies and partners for the help we are getting from them. And we also are grateful for you guys from the Stop Fake for your work. You work 24/7 in order to destroy those Russian lies, so that the world knows the truth, what is really happening in Ukraine. Thank you very much. This was Marco Suprun, creative editor of ARC.ua magazine. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Latest news, trends and analytics on Spotlight Ukraine. Like, share and subscribe.